Great music by Suelo and her cousins. And also, we would like to continue also to salute the veterans for Veterans Day today. As you know, folks, well, the regular football season is over and the playoffs will kick off this coming weekend. And here to try to pick the winners and the losers in the PSL Championship Division and Bowl is Chris Legree of the Mo Better Jaguars. Man, before we get into the playoff talk, I got to talk about Ed Grzinski, one of probably the winningest high school basketball coaches, male or female, in the city and also in the country. He has stepped down because of the politics within the school system, especially when it comes to the principals. There's so many principals in each school now. And that's the same problem that Mike Camerdisi, who was the head coach of Canarsie High School, who's now at Poly Prep, had, right?
Well, I'll say that the coach had a distinguished career at Bertram, and I think he's earned the right to choose how he wants to exit.
Right, so he will return to the sidelines from what I gather somewhere this season. All right, we're going to move on. Also, we'll talk about the Jets this week. One of your players, right? Jaquan Jarrett, former Mo Better Jaguar, also part of the Fort Hamilton Tigers championship teams, was player of the week for the Jets.
He had a career game against one of my favorite franchises, the Pittsburgh Steelers. But, you know, he's a hard-working kid who's really earned everything that he's gotten. And was very happy to see him have a day like he did on that stage.
And the Jets won. They beat the Steelers.
Yeah, and that was a big, big deal.
Justin, eat your heart out. I know Justin's in there just screaming. He's one of our technical directors. So anyway, let's talk about the playoffs. All right, so we got an interesting week coming up. Let's also go over the bowl first. And I want you to break down, we're going to go over the bowl. If they could pull up those brackets real quick, we're going to say in the bowl we have McKee will take on Petrides of Staten Island. So these are both Staten Island schools in the bowl. Also FDR and Grady, Lafayette and Columbus, and Bayside will take on Madison. So all those teams will play on Sunday in the bowl playoffs.
I think the Madison Bayside game is pretty intriguing. Lafayette I have my eye on them all year. I think Lafayette and possibly Bayside will come out of there and fight for the championship there.
So the bowl, and more than likely, the teams that always win the bowl championship always, more than likely, sometimes goes to the next level and elevates and moves to the championship division.
South Shore High School is a good example.
That's right. That's true, because they won it twice.
Yes.
2 years straight. All right. Let's move on to the playoffs in the city division, the championship division. And I want you to do this. I want you to break down the weaknesses and the strengths of each of these teams in the time that we have. Let's look at Erasmus. Spoke to Danny Landberg early in the season, right? He put a con game on me, talking to the sidelines when the game. Said, Mike, you know, we're young. We're not going to do that much, so don't expect that much from us. And then, you know what? And he suckered me in, and I believed him. But yet, they're in the playoffs.
More importantly, they were undefeated.
And they're the top seed, right? One of the top seed teams.
They were undefeated most of the year.
And they have a bye this week, along with Lincoln High School, Tottenville, Clinton, and so we'll get into that. But the strength and weaknesses of Erasmus High School.
Well, it's strength.
Defensively, offensively.
Their strength team-wise is their speed, obviously. I don't think they're that stout defensively inside. They don't pass the ball as effectively as you would think, but what they do, which I think is very smart, the type of throws they make are short and quick, so they can catch the football and run it. With
a lot of slants, a lot of
bubbles,
quick,
things of that nature. They have good athletes. They always have good athletes.
Right. Most of them are sophomores and most of them are juniors, so a lot of these players will be back next year.
I always tell people by the end of the year, the kid's a year older.
Right.
A sophomore now, a junior now is a senior.
All right, cool. Let's talk about Lincoln High School. Champions, they're defending champions going into this playoffs.
I think their biggest advantage is their championship pedigree. I think the strength of their team is their interior line. They got a couple of kids in there that are really, really good.
They always had a huge offensive line last year, too. They had one of the biggest offensive lines in the city.
But it's a kid, well, their defensive line is very good. I think they're agile, and their linebackers are very, very active.
Right. Tottenville, the Pirates.
Didn't achieve as much as they normally do during the regular season, but they have a history out there of seeming to get better in November.
And they had tough going early in the season.
Yeah, they had some adversity. You can never count them out. They're another team with good playoff pedigree.
Okay. Clinton High School. in the Bronx?
It's a team that folks down here don't hear about them much. They're very physical. They have a big interior line. I think what they have problems with is speed. Speed, a lot of speed can do damage to them.
On my way in today, I saw Brooklyn Tech. They were practicing, because it's Veterans Day and the schools are out. They will take on Grand Street campus, which is also a damn good team. They surprised a lot of people this year. Do you think so? I mean, you had them as a dark horse, basically. So you knew, as far as what you told me early, said, you know what, expect a lot from this team.
Well, they won 9 games. The only loss was to Lincoln in a great game. They're going to be a team to reckon with. The only question I have about them is just they don't have a lot of playoff experience.
Okay.
And getting through that first win can be critical for them to get the confidence level up.
So going that extra week could be...
I think it could be to their advantage.
All right, Curtis and Canarsie.
I like Curtis in this game. I watched Canarsie play Sunday against Grand Street. They have some really good physical players. They got one of the best defensive tackles in the city, but I just don't think they can score with enough points to be effective in the playoffs.
All right, real quick, we got Flushing and South Shore.
Well, Flushing hammered South Shore during the regular season. I look for South Shore to make this a good game. I think they're going to be very competitive.
Fort Hamilton and New Utrecht.
Fort Hamilton, to me, is the dark horse of this playoff. They've shown a propensity to play very well against some of the better competition. They had Erasmus, they're leading 22-6 in the fourth quarter, and let the lead get away, and they had a very impressive win last week against Lincoln on their field.
Any surprises at all?
I just think you keep your eye on Fort Hamilton. If they can mix up their run with some passing, they can be very dangerous.
Okay, we'll keep an eye on it. I want to have you back hopefully in a couple of weeks.
Thank you.
Promise? All right, good. All right, coming up, part 2 of our Veterans Day tribute. This time, it's to the aircraft that did so much to defeat our foes over the course of the past 100 years. Before we get to that, another B-side musical performance from Ephraim Atlas.